Hey, hello. So just a bit of a blog. I'm just here like wandering around the Eiffel Tower right after the event this weekend. Need to catch up on a few things. So about those reveals that we had for History Collection. So basically I thought there was going to be three different Crays getting errata, one of which isn't really technically a Cray, it's more like a Nationalist card, which is Tempersphere, Zazen and Cyclone. But actually they weren't the ones that got errata, so we ended up just having buffs for three cards, which are universally used in all plans. So we had Honoly, which can now, well, not pay the mandatory CB when, well, it's not really paying, it's more like an effect that's forcefully active, but basically when you place Honoly, you used to have to counter +1 if you had one already face up, which can sort of hurt. So that's kind of handy in a way because, like for example in Regalia, I had to play Thread because every time I played Honoly, I basically had to make sure I had no face-up damage just so that I don't have to waste that Counter Blast. But obviously if I do that, I can't use Norn or any of the Counter Blast gauge adders after that, because Honoly would have likely have eaten the only Counter Blast I had, because you're kind of working a bit of a tight cost. So obviously that's going to help with Regalia if you don't want to play Thread in Regalia. But also, even if that's an issue, you can always just move Honoly into Soul, so you can still do your multi-attacks in your own turn. But then your opponent gets screwed because it only specifies the opponent for the second skill, which is basically like a revised version of the first one, but you have now two different options how to use it. So it's quite popular, a lot of people are talking about it. Obviously there's some decks which are quite obnoxious, like the Shlishma deck, which right now, if you get crit stack rush early game, you're most likely on high damage, and then it's like force marker and then 50 billion attacks. So Honoly is kind of good for that, because to be fair, Steam Minis does kind of need some CB to keep extending as well. So it's going to be handy for matchups like that one, or Spike Brothers actually as well. And the thing that makes it also different is that because you can move to Soul, now more decks are likely to play again, because one of the problems we've had is that some decks had field control, like in the Ripple format, which is probably the format where you need Honoly the most, maybe, among those kind of formats. And the thing is with Ripples is that they had Thavas, which they could play, which basically sniped a unit. So if you played Honoly, you'll just get basically slaughtered, and that would obviously be a problem. Oh, sorry about that. I just got interrupted. What happened with Honoly was that it would sort of mess you over in a way, but now they can't be targeted and removed. Because you move it into the removal player, I guess. Basically, what will then happen is that any sort of field control, Makani, grade 3s, for example, Thavas, anything else really that can kill a unit. Technically, Karunta in C-mains could do that. Now that's been sort of countered, so basically every deck will start playing again, rather than just only the mid-battle decks, such as Bermuda Triangle, which was quite common because you had Citron, which could just call midway in battle. So that's handy. What else? We have another one, which is Pika. Pika now, it lets you use it with 13k bases. 12k bases or less. Was it 11? No, 11k. So 11k rather than 10k. So the 11ks can now become 13s, and also you can use it multiple times as well. So what you can do is, rather than just being a continuous giving power, every time your Vanguard's attacked, you basically just give 2k if your Vanguard's power is basically 11k or less. Yeah, 11k or less. So basically, if you have something like Gancelot, what would happen is that Gancelot, the grade 3 Royal Paladin from the beginning of the game, basically the first ever trial deck, you can actually use it twice with Pika, so that you can make Gancelot now go from 9k to 13k after 2 battles. So that's just a funny little gimmick you can do now with that card as well. There's also Pichan, which is basically it used to be a resist remover, but now they've extended it to be a skills remover, and also preventing them from gaining skills on that same column, rather than just gaining gaining I think it's resist abilities. So and it's also an act skill as well, rather than being a continuous. So it's an auto on place ability rather than being an act skill. So the act skill used to be like CB1 to do it, but now you basically just automatically on placement just clear the comms. You have to actually return to your hand if you want to do it again. You can't spam the card basically like before. So yeah, those are just some of the kind of highlights of the erratas. Kind of has implications on decks. Oracle Think Tank I think will be quite an easy deck to put Honoly in. Like I can think of Cubic Magus. Basically in Magus I would never play Honoly, because one of the problems is is that Cubic Magus requires an entire field of Magus. So now that we can actually remove Honoly from the game to still apply the effect, that's really helpful, because what that means is that you can now use basically 7 rear guards, one of which is removed from the game, to apply its effect from beyond the remove and play area, and that's kind of changed things. So if I wanted to, I could use it in that deck, which is it's very, very different. So any deck that kind of required using their slots basically benefits from the new errata for Honoly as well. But yeah, other than that, I was thinking like maybe it might not be the case that individual cards from different clans will get errated just because these ones are, because they have Cray Elementals. So I think what they're doing is they're still trying to keep it easy to remember the erratas in the sense that, because someone has to obviously clarify that or confirm that the erratas are fine. If you have like bespoke cards for different decks, it's really annoying, but that it kind of means that only Cray Elementals or generics will get pushed really hard, rather than seeing like revisions for other things that may be more interesting. But that's kind of the downside. Cray Elementals, since they're basically playing 24 clans, it's easy enough for everyone to kind of be a bit more aware. Some people will forget, but it's just the idea that you can actually go and just find someone in an event and just ask them, hey, wait, does this card work this way? And yes, there's bound people that will know the reasons or know if it works, especially if the game kind of goes on for a long time and the card library gets bigger and bigger. So it's easy to keep track of. It's the same with like the new on-hit Strider Ratas as well. They're easy to keep track of because they have generic abilities. Same with the critical triggers, and they just make like a long list of 24 cards. So they're all basically very similar, easy to remember. So yeah, it's raining a lot here in the Eiffel Tower, so it's been really bad weather. So I will be stopping this soon, but I'm just going to put this hood on because I'm getting very wet. So the tournament during the weekend, we managed to get X2 as a team in D standard. So we kind of we didn't make it into the tiebreak. Actually, we somehow we thought we had a good tiebreaker, but we ended up on 15. So we're a bit ways off. As for pre, we managed to get 3rd place. So that went pretty well. We got also our Ever Play mat, which was from the Germany event, because we got 3rd in Germany for a D format as well. And now I'm just basically just doing some sightseeing while I wait for the Eurostar to get back home. And I was just in Rouen, Roa, I can't remember how you pronounce it in French, but I was there earlier. Basically town of John d'Arc, and now here I'm in like Paris. I'm going to probably go stop by the Notre Dame as well before I get to the Eurostar, so I've still got a few hours. So yeah, I'll see you guys later. Alright, goodbye.